Blessing to the collective and the universe. I am Dark and Lovely. We are back at the Loyalty is the Truth channel. Today we're going to be doing some creepy, strange, conspiracy, hidden truth, tic-tac reaction. Let's get to it, guys.
The largest plantation in Charleston, South Carolina when the war started was owned by a free black man with 200 slaves.
The average so-called American don't know shit about slavery. But guess what? Y'all gonna learn some shit today. Prior to the Civil War, South Carolina became the first state to tell the United States they can go to hell. And in December of 1860, South Carolina left the Union and the Confederacy was formed. At that time, the biggest, baddest plantation owner in South Carolina was Sir Longhead himself, William Ellison. Ellison became one of the largest financial contributors to the Confederacy. Even in his passing, he willed for continued support of the Confederate cause. Hell, even his sons was gonna ride or die for St. Andrews. Another big bad slave owner at time of secession was Richard E. DeReef. Don't worry, y'all. I'm sure he's not that ugly in real life. Richard DeReef owned about 40 slaves. When it came to pay taxes on them slaves, Richard was like, hell no, my grandmama Indian. In 1823, Richard and his brother went to court and proved their indigenous lineage to the judge. They not only got the tax man off their back, they also got them lying-ass census workers to stop trying to classify them as mulattoes and colors. DeReef also founded Brown Fellowship Society. They provided assistance to those of a darker hue in times of need. This is what used to be the DeReef Park behind me in Charleston. After the Civil War, Richard became alderman of Charleston in 1868. Like I said, slavery ain't what you think it is at all. And we got a long way to go. Please like, share, and follow. And let me know if y'all ever heard of any of these. Now, I don't know how many community guidelines I got left. So go ahead and follow my YouTube page. Because February, we going in like a mother.
Joseph Levin filed a lawsuit against the Nixon administration after he discovered that two young girls, Minnie Ralph, age 14, and Mary Alice Ralph, age 12, were sterilized at a clinic in Montgomery, Alabama.
At no time prior to the surgery did any physician discuss with the girls or their parents the nature or consequences of the surgery to which Minnie and Mary Alice were about to be subjected.
The girl's mother was given a consent form by the doctor. He knew she couldn't read, and clinic workers pressured Minnie to sign a consent form, falsely stating she was 21.
Dr. Warren Hearn, working at the War on Poverty, develops these guidelines. And these guidelines say that no one can be sterilized without informed consent and there can be no coercion. So these guidelines actually would have prevented the sterilization of the Ralph sisters.
But his guidelines were never delivered to the clinics. They were being held up at the White House. In 1927, the Supreme Court upheld Harry Laughlin's model law and ruled 8-1 that the Constitution permitted U.S. citizens to be forcibly sterilized. Congress never passed a federal sterilization law. But it's estimated that by the end of World War II, under state laws, at least 80,000 Americans have been forced to undergo hysterectomies, tubal ligation, vasectomies, and castration.
How many men have had to have their tubes removed?
So you mean, all right, help me understand this comment. Let me know. To my understanding, they was trying to make them not be able to give birth again. It's like they been knew we was powerful. They trying any kind of way to they cannot reproduce. No, we don't want them to reproduce. We're trying to decrease the situation, not increase it. No. That's messed up. There's things that we had to deal with back then. The things we had to deal with, allegedly. The things we had to deal with Things I'm finding out now, that's outrageous, people. Look, from then and now, look how much like they've been lying. They've been lying to us. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do so. And let's get back to the video, because I got more. Yes.
I'm about to show you some ancient occult knowledge that they did not teach you in school. They don't want you to know this because if you did, you would understand what you're truly capable of. This is what allows you to make a deeper connection with the Creator. So I recommend you save this and you share it. So in my last video, I talk about the Christ oil, which our brain releases into the body. It's also known as the sacred secretion. And in John 2:27, it talks about the anointing, which you can see above. This is what it is. This is why anointing oils are used. So this oil collects at the base of your spine and then it travels up your 33 vertebrae, Jacob's ladder. You see how this is all symbolic? It finally meets the pituitary and the pineal gland, the land of milk and honey, referred to in the Bible. This releases DMT and serotonin. When this happens, it sparks an awakening which allows that Christ consciousness into your life. It helps you wake up and make a connection with God. And if you allow it to, this oil returns to the cerebellum where it is crucified. When this happens, you experience more freedom, abundance, prosperity, and a true connection to Source. This is why I also talk about natural laws, the Hermetic laws, because they all go together. And when you live in harmony with them, you create an environment where this can happen. You see, this is why sins exist. Gluttony, lust, pride, all of these things, they destroy that oil, the sacred secretion. You see, if you're overeating all the time, you don't have an environment where this thing can survive. If you're expelling it in relationships that have zero deep connection and just lustful, it can't survive. So why do you think I talk about eating a clean diet, controlling your temptations, living with natural laws? And natural law is simply the Word of God, because the Word of God is truth, and truth is law. And when you live your life according to these laws, you live in harmony with the universe and the Creator. See, it's not some esoteric, mystical thing. It's something we all experience, but you're not told this, so it sounds out there and woo-woo. Our body is a temple for God to abide in. You see, our soul is like a wave in the ocean. It's a part of the ocean, but it's not the ocean itself. That being said, it's connected to the Creator. And when you treat your body like a temple, you can create that connection and it's going to awaken the spiritual aspects of yourself. When you seek Christ, when you truly repent all of those lifestyle things that are preventing you from experiencing this is what happens. As the Bible says, we are made in the image of God, and God creates. And so when you do this, it awakens the Creator inside of you. This is how you create heaven on earth. Comment your thoughts.
This knowledge. Since Israelites are from Bedouin Yemen, the southern Arabian Peninsula, they're a dark-skinned population, which establishes that Jacob and Joseph also had dark skin. And since Moses was born to Israelite parents, then Moses was dark-skinned. Now Beit al-Maqdis, Jerusalem and Bethlehem are on the Abyssinian highlands where Moses settled with the Israelites, and then Jesus, who was sent as a prophet to the Israelites after Moses was born in Bethlehem in Abyssinia. This establishes that Jesus was dark-skinned, born to Mary, a dark-skinned mother. Jesus was not a European person with blue eyes, straight hair and Caucasian features, as featured in many of today's churches. It's obvious that all those prophets, including Jesus, had very dark skin and their hair was black and curly. They had a southern Arabian, Abyssinian type of feature because, as the Quran said, offspring one of the other and God is hearing, knowing. And another verse, God chose Adam, Noah, the family of Ibrahim and the family of Imran above the nations, offspring one of the other and God is hearing, knowing. Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Jesus all shared the same language, which is the South Arabian language spoken by southern Misr, Abyssinia and Yemen. Since all the prophets come from the lineage.
Your brain is about to melt. I'm going to show you a deep, spiritual, esoteric lesson that you've never been taught. I'm listening to this with an open mind. It's crazy. So you see this pine cone? Guess where that's at? That's the Vatican. If you don't know what the Vatican is, that's where the Pope does his thing. I could go into the Pope all day. That's a whole different story. But what does this pine cone represent? Have you heard of the pineal gland? Well, it's located up in your brain, and it's also known as your third eye chakra. And if you watch my other videos, which I hope that you do, what I'm helping you do is detoxify your body so you can create that spiritual connection. There's a calcified pineal gland, which things like tap water leads to. Fluoride will do that. A healthy one is like an open pine cone. It's our connection to the divine, and it's referred to in the Bible. Your spine is Jacob's ladder. What do you think?
Grand awakening to the guys and goddesses. Grand awakening to the guys and goddesses. I was on a flight from LA to Orlando, and I couldn't sleep. Everybody on the plane started yelling and screaming. So I woke up, I lifted up my window, and this is what I saw. I seen a huge skeleton destroying a city. I don't know what city we was over, but I seen that huge skeleton destroying it. I didn't panic because I know I have an understanding what the elites try to do. That was either a hologram or that was either the real thing. Either way, the elites are trying to get us. They're using fear tactics to get us. You see, if that wasn't real, they're using their hologram program to see how we react. Fear lowers your vibration. So they used that hologram over that city because they wanted to scare the city, and they also wanted to scare the rest of the passengers that was on the flight with me. But I had to give them an understanding that that was just a hologram. We got to keep our third eye open, and we can't let the holograms fool us. No side, no sleep. Share this video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, StarChu TV, just in case they take this video down. We must spread this knowledge to the people. We must experience a grand awakening. No side, no sleep.
And you guys, was that a hologram? Well, it don't really look like one because the other hologram that I've been seeing, they didn't look so real like that. You could tell you were seeing all the other the lights on them and all. This one, that didn't look like it had no light. I feel like these people keep coming up with this hologram stuff, so when something appears, if somebody sees it, say they could be like, oh yeah, that was a hologram. They still trying to blind us straight. They putting it in our face and trying to blind it. And lie, say that that's not true. That didn't happen. That's not this. That's not that. Come on, guys, wake up. Fuck what they talk about now. Forget waiting for answer from them, because they never gonna answer us. They're just gonna keep putting the truth in our faces because technically they feel that we're not smart enough. They feel like they've been manipulating us for all these years. What's the difference now? What's the difference now? They make it seem like they educating our kids. They didn't do it with us. What the hell make y'all think that they're gonna do it with our kids now? It's up to us to fix this curse, this manipulation, all these lies. Straighten it up. We got a great history, but they've been hiding our history from us too. They know why. They know why. Allegedly, we not smart. Come on. We came here on a boat. Like, still can't show up these books yet. But, anywho, let's get back to the video. Because this right here, somebody, anybody, comment and let me know what you think about this hologram, because it's confused me a little bit. But give me some feedback. Let me know if somebody think different or whatever. Let me know something. All right, comment, let me know about it. Let's get back to the video.
The spiritual truth about alcohol that they don't want you to know. I recommend you watch this one all the way through because there's a lot you don't know about. Of course, they're not going to teach you this in school because they don't teach you anything in school. Alright, so we've all had a run-in with this guy at one point in our lives. Unless you're under the age of 21. I myself have been there. More than once. In fact, I built an entire brand around it so I wouldn't have to justify myself, but that's another story. I don't do it anymore because it ruined my life and I hate how I feel. So what is this demonic substance? Well, alcohol is the Arabic word that it's derived. It means body-eating spirit. And when we consume a high amount of it, it's basically extracting the soul essence out of our body. That's why it becomes demon time. In fact, we get so toxic inside, our soul says, peace. This is why a blackout happens. It numbs you and lowers your vibration. This keeps you trapped. As always, follow the money.
Everything that we learned in schools about our own country's founding was a complete lie. We were told that America was named after Americo Vespucci. But what if I told you that he actually changed his name to Americo after he had explored America? And that America is actually named after Amaruca, which is the land of the plumed serpent, which was ruled by Amaru, the plumed serpent. Not to mention that our entire Constitution was written after the Gothic Constitution, which is the handbook of Freemason law. And that the majority of every single founder of America was a Freemason or involved in the Illuminati. And that how in the 1990s, Benjamin Franklin's house was literally discovered to have had 19 bodies underneath it. And not to mention, Benjamin Franklin was an avid participator of the Hellfires Club. Do we even need to talk about how the entire city of Washington, D.C. is shaped like a pentagram? And how the Washington Monument actually symbolizes the phallic symbol for Osiris? And how on the dollar bill is the Illuminati sign? And underneath it, it says, "In God we trust." Like, which God are you referring to? How it says in the Bible that we are never supposed to pledge an oath or pledge allegiance to anything but God. The first thing that we do in America is pledge allegiance to the flag. Sorry folks, but there is nothing to be patriotic about in America, because America is the land of the serpent.
Hold on to this shit, oh, you want hell? They already told you that the spell is over. When Lizzie over there died and they snapped the wand and put it right on her casket for the whole world to see. Most of y'all missed that, went right over your head. Now what queen you know? All the queens I know carry scepters or staffs. This one had a wand. Only people I know that carry wands is witches and warlocks. See, they putting everything right in front of your face because it's revelation. You thinking it's a great war of Armageddon, but it means to reveal, to awaken. Your pole shifts is that spinal cord that go up, have all the nerves connected to that go up to your brain, that's sparking a whole new form of consciousness in you. That's your great awakening. There's a reckoning coming. And some of it is coming for people that just look like me too. And some people who won't be the one to help you may not look like you. See, y'all all thinking it's about bloodlines, your 12 tribes. But no, sometimes it could be about them blood types. I dropped a lot of breadcrumbs in this video, baby. Y'all sit back and y'all ponder on all the things I'm talking about. Cause time's just about up.
Final moments of the Queen's funeral. First time ever seen on TV is the breaking of the wand of office.
chamberlain, the most senior member of the household, his duty done breaks his wand of office and places it there too. And both will be buried with the coffin.
This is what happens when you have a spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening, or existential realization of self, is the sudden realization of your existence within this universe. When you go through this experience, there is usually an intense feeling of waking up or being reborn in a way that is extremely vivid and extremely lucid. This awakening causes one to have an intense sense of motivation, a sense of purpose, an understanding of one's mortality, and a deep appreciation for each moment that passes. When one experiences this awakening, no new knowledge is learned, but rather there is a new, deeper understanding of their previous experiences that becomes visible in a sudden manner. These cases of spiritual awakenings can be caused suddenly by meditation, dreams, altered states of consciousness, grief, or can happen randomly at some point throughout someone's life. However, these awakenings are not a constant state of being. For some people, the impact of their experience fundamentally changes their perception on life, their values, their priorities, and leads them on a path of self-discovery. But for many, when the intensity of their experience wears off, they will return to a more conventional way of thinking or living, forgetting the wisdom that they attained in this so-called awakening. And even worse than returning to a conventional way of thinking, they may develop a messiah complex, suffer from depersonalization or derealization, and even psychosis. And so it's important to be aware of the reality of this experience because
H.K. Edgerton, what do you have to say to the African American students who feel threatened by the Confederate symbols on campus?
Get a flag and join me. They have no reason to fear this flag.
Life taught me two things. Never date a woman that don't respect your wife. And what's done in the dark, gonna always come to the light. Welcome to Whitewash, episode 6. Today's discussion, we got the Confederates. First up the bat, we got Confederate General Robert E. Lee. And this little sassy motherfucker is not him. The real Robert E. Lee, according to congressional records, was of a dark complexion. In 1825, little Robert enrolled in the West Point Military School. Upon enrollment, he was described as being 5'10", 180 pounds, with brown hair and a dark complexion. Ain't no way in hell. Furthermore, Robert's half-brother was Mr. Alfred Lee of Georgetown, D.C., a well-known and highly respected man of color. In 1852, while Alfred was trying to play Super Saber Ho, newspapers described him as a yellow man. With that being said, it's safe to say that Alfred Lee was far lighter than his dark-ass brother Robert, or whoever the hell this man is. But what y'all think about it? Have y'all ever heard about this before? Please like, share, and subscribe. And in case they take TikTok away, my name is the same on every platform.
Peace and love to all the Moors. Now, according to the United States Case 191 in 1848, it says verbatim that the United States does not own the land of the ancient mound builders of North America. Much more than 1 million square miles of land. The Moors are the title holders of the geographical landmass of America. And the titles are Els, Bays, Days, and Alis, which is basically an amalgamation of the title holders of the geographical landmass of America, which is the Choctaw, the Wichita, the Cherokee, the Seminole, and the Yamasee. Now, the Statue of Liberty is basically an emulation of the ancient headdress of a Moorish woman, which is the real Statue of Liberty. These are the original names of America: Al-Maghreb Al-Aqsa, Al-Morocco, Northwest Africa Exum, Southwest Africa Exum. Now, this is the original Great Seal of the United States of America. The Great Seal of the continental United States Moorish nations represents the de jure sovereign authority of the primitive and aboriginal Moors, emanating birthrights and inheritance. Now, this is why it's very imperative to understand that unification is the precursor to a sovereign nation. You are not from Africa. How can you be from a place that you can be deported back to? And a lot of you go to HBCUs. How you go to Morehouse and you don't even know you're a goddamn Moor? With that being said, claim your nationality. You are not Black, African American, Negro, or color. You are Moors. Thanks for watching.
Now, Sherrod was a bad motherfucker. You talking about a Negro that sold himself into slavery, got the slave master's daughter pregnant, and then turned around and bought half of Tennessee? Well, maybe not half, but the bitch had 700 acres. Not to mention 20-something slaves. Now, Sherrod Bryant was born in 1781, 15 years before Tennessee even existed. Before Sherrod left his daddy's house, Davidson County gave him some letters that said he had to be treated like a white man. Now, when they say white man, they don't mean white as in the Caucasians or the mountains of Caucasus. See, the term white and black in those days tend to do with more class than it did skin color. But that's a whole nother story. When it came to Sherrod, they just wanted people to know that
you can't treat him like any of the other niggas around here, because he ain't like any of the other niggas around here. You got it?
he meant that shit. See, Sherrod went on to become an indentured servant at Cole Manor. He turned that hoe into one of the most successful cotton plantations in the South. The plantation owner's daughter was looking at him like, Not too long after that, turned into And then the baby fell out. But baby or no baby, her daddy wasn't going for that shit. He yanked her ass back to the house and made Sherrod raise that baby by himself. Needless to say, Sherrod did what he was supposed to do and became one of the biggest names in Tennessee. Please like, share, and subscribe. Y'all ever heard about Sherrod? What y'all know about these?
On March 5th, 1959, a tragic event unfolded in Arkansas. But it's something people know little about since the U.S. government did a phenomenal job in covering up this dark chapter of Black history. It was a massacre involving Black teenagers who were trapped inside their hostel, padlocked from the outside, and horrifically burned alive. The intent was to claim the lives of all 69 Black boys living there, and tragically, 21 were burnt to death. This shocking incident remained hidden from public awareness for decades, primarily due to the effective cover-up orchestrated by the state of Arkansas. Even now, many years later, there is still no official cause of the fire, and those responsible never faced justice. This tragic event unfolded due to a deeply segregated and racially discriminatory American South in the 1950s. It was a period when American boarding schools, though diverse in their purposes, were far from equal in their treatment of students. These schools were not only places of education and discipline, but also tools for enforcing racial segregation. In that era, the quality of education one received was often determined by their race. Segregated boarding schools were established, catering to specific racial groups and rarely promoting integration. For them, Black and white children could never get along together. The schools meant for Black boys had harsh discipline, involving physical punishments like paddling and hair pulling. In the South, schools were used as instruments to resist racial integration. Between 1952 and 1962, numerous schools were built in rural areas, exclusively for African American students. In sheer contrast, white students enjoyed better-equipped schools, thanks to the state's construction of approximately 500 primary and secondary schools. These white schools were more substantial, technologically advanced, and offered a richer academic curriculum, emphasizing subjects like mathematics, science, and vocal training. There were also significant differences in how the reform and industrial schools treated white and Black students. White reform schools aimed to educate and equip teenagers with practical skills for future employment, such as carpentry or metalwork. However, the boys at the Arkansas Negro Industrial School faced a different reality. Arkansas had 2 juvenile correctional facilities, one in Jefferson County and another in Wrightsville, southeast of Little Rock. Within the walls of the Arkansas Negro Industrial School, young Black boys aged 13 to 17 were subjected to despicable conditions. These teens, some of whom were homeless orphans or wrongly accused of petty crimes, were forced into a life of manual labor. They worked hard on the facility's farmland and were subjected to cruel beatings with leather straps, enduring days in rags. You see, this was no different than slavery, just the name had been changed. Could anyone imagine doing things like that with white teens of that time? Black boys in those schools didn't even have access to proper sanitation, resorting to using buckets as makeshift toilets. More than half of them lacked underwear or socks, and it was not uncommon for them to go weeks without changing clothes or bathing. Clean and safe drinking water was a luxury they were denied, and their living quarters were cramped, offering them little space to breathe. These Black boys inhabited a building constructed in 1936 under the Works Progress Administration, which Time magazine described as unstable and fragile. The systemic poverty, a consequence of white supremacy, sealed the fate of these boys. Racially disparate treatment permeated the United States criminal justice system, with wrongful convictions being a common occurrence. The horrors of lynching resulted in the deaths of thousands of black people. This dark era, known as the Jim Crow era, left an unforgettable mark on Arkansas's history, and many lawyers capitalized on the plight of African American victims, particularly during the school desegregation crisis. During this period, very few white Americans were willing to embrace equality with black people. The Reconstruction era granted significant rights to black Americans, including voting rights, U.S. citizenship for formerly enslaved individuals, the establishment of black churches, and better access to farmland and education. However, as the Reconstruction era ended, these rights were swiftly revoked by the South. It was due to the authority state governments held over matters within their respective regions, particularly education. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video, and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. While the federal government wielded national powers and enacted laws that applied to the entire United States, local and state laws governed people who lived and worked in specific states or territories. In states like Arkansas, the governor held considerable decision-making authority. Orville Faubus, the 36th governor of Arkansas from 1955 to 1967, was a prominent figure during this tumultuous period. He infamously ordered the Arkansas National Guard to block the entrance to Central High School, preventing the Little Rock Nine from entering. He was also in office during the tragic dormitory fire on the morning of March 5, 1959. On that unfortunate day, as people enjoyed gospel music on the radio that day, a breaking news bulletin interrupted the program. It was reported that a mysterious fire had engulfed the Arkansas Negro Boys Industrial School in Wrightsville. However, the grim reality was far more sinister. At 4 a.m., the staff abandoned the dormitory and locked the door from the outside. The boys inside were forced to fight and claw their way out. While 48 of the African-American teenagers managed to escape the blazing structure by jumping out of windows, 21 were tragically unable to flee and perished that night. When examining the building's layout, it became evident that, despite having a few doors within the facility, there was only one front door, and that solitary entrance was locked. Those unfortunate boys who remained trapped inside found themselves wedged in the back corner of the building, where they met a horrific fate consumed by the flames. Governor Faubus later called for a hearing, aiming to uncover the truth and hold anyone responsible. It should be noted that after the incident, efforts were made to conceal the evidence. On the morning of the incident, the scene was being tampered with. The school staff and Superintendent L.R. Gaines provided testimonies stating that the boys had been locked inside and left unsupervised. On the other hand, the Pulaski County Grand Jury found multiple individuals and agencies responsible, but failed to bring any criminal charges. It seemed as though blame was being distributed widely, yet true accountability remained inaccessible. Ironically, the land where the school once stood is now occupied by the Arkansas Department of Correction facility, the Wrightsville Unit. In 2019, the Arkansas Department of Correction dedicated a memorial site to the 21 young boys who lost their lives in the fire. Decades later, the memorial features a metal plate listing the names of every individual who didn't make it out alive. Many family members and those who remember the tragedy attended the ceremony to pay their respects, although the exact location of the boys' graves remained shrouded in mystery. Stephanie Webb, the owner of Haven of Rest, disclosed that the bodies were brought to the cemetery, and a common burial site labeled 114 was prepared to lay them to rest, as indicated by the cemetery records. Shortly after the fire, the remains of the deceased boys, consisting of fragments, were taken to a local funeral home. It's reported that their body parts were wrapped in newspaper. Webb mentioned that most of the bodies were taken to Dobison Funeral Home.
You see, you guys, more truth coming out, right? It's more truth. All these lies they keep away from us, they don't want to let us know the truth. It's coming out, guys. It's coming out. Mother Nature said, enough is enough. Y'all destroying me because I am the planet. You know? Look how they going in bunkers and hiding. I don't see them making any shelters for the people. For us. They're only making shelters for them. What are they running for? What are they running from? They saying all these lies to make us panic. But guess what? Over here, we're not panicking. We on point. And I will advise all my subscribers, everybody else, focus, steady up. Because it's about to be, oh my God. It's about to be something it's about to be some crazy shit, because something that we not ready for. Some of us not ready for. You know? I'm not ready for it either, but I'm prepared for whatever comes. You know, that's all we can do. Focus. Get our alignments together. They twisted everything up. All the good things, they switch it up to their bullcrap nonsense. It make people think that certain things is not what it is. And when that's what we need in our life, they keep us away from it by telling us it's not good. That's how. Keeping us away from our power too. By telling us this is no good, this not good. And if you keep hearing this is not good, that's not good, eventually you're not going to want to do it no more. You're not going to want to, you know. But you got to fight that. Fight it. Fight it, guys. Open our eyes. You heard what they said. You heard what they said. Allegedly, you heard what they saying. Yeah, you guys listening? Oh yeah, listen. This is we going through the biggest war ever. The biggest war ever, guys. But let's try to finish up these videos. Let's get back to it.
I used to get in trouble for always using the N-word. But with DNA and me, I found out that I'm 2.1% black. Morning, Steve. What's up, nigga?
White people of America. Y'all know that word that y'all keep in y'all back pocket when them colors get to acting too colorful? Yep, that's the one. Today, we gonna learn the history of the word nigger. Now, this is a postcard from the early 1900s, like 1910. If your racist ass grandpappy was told to describe this picture, he'd have been like, that's some nigger with a bear. And you may agree. But the difference is this. In great grandpappy day, the N-words he was referring to wasn't known as black yet. Now, in great grandpappy day, it was used in reference to American Indians. Emblem of America, British Museum. Now, according to Oxford English Dictionary, the N-word can be described as a dark-skinned person of any origin. But in early U.S., it was used usually with reference to an American Indian. They didn't say sometimes. They didn't say every now and then. They said usually, and usually offensive. Now, many of y'all think that Negroes claiming Indian heritage is a new thing. I can assure you it's not. Remember, this postcard was created in 1910. This postcard is titled An Indian Boy and His Two Bear Cubs. This Harper's Weekly newsletter was published February 8th, 1879. I want y'all to peep the message that the KKK left a little Indian up there by the train. Now, I got more receipts than the IRS. And I ain't new to this. My grandmama true to this. Please like, share, and subscribe. Did y'all know anything about this? What y'all think about it? Comment for part 2. They
They hid the truth from you about Easter, and the church pulled the greatest marketing play of all time. Don't shoot the messenger on this one. You see, we think that Christmas and Easter represent the birth and the crucifixion of Jesus. In reality, they're both pagan holidays. Christmas is about Saturnalia and has a lot of sacrifices going on. Have you ever wondered why we have Easter bunnies and eggs? The eggs represent fertility. Easter bunnies, they like to bang a lot and fast. And so that's what people were doing. 9 months later, you happen to have Christmas come around. What do you think they're sacrificing? You see, Easter is actually named after the Norse goddess Istre, which represents the spring coming in. And so how does this connect to the church? Well, you see, at the time, the Roman Catholic Church, they wanted more Christians. So how do you get pagans into this culture? Well, you have to go into their world. So they found a way to take these highly charged emotions from these pagan holidays and combine it with Christianity, therefore indoctrinating pagan culture into Christianity. So without your awareness, you've been celebrating pagan holidays. But there's a lesson here. Whether it's ethical or not, you can see that mass impact has been made over centuries. And this was all done by taking a message that was in another culture, entering that world and bringing it into yours. People fight what they don't understand. So to get a message across, go into what they do understand. I was just talking about this inside the Genius Army, where we help people get viral content, build their personal brands, all types of good stuff. But what do you think? Did you know this? Keep celebrating Yahshua, but know what you're celebrating.
I believe that God actually exists. Except the God that exists, that created this universe and the multiverse, not in the Quran, not in the Torah, not in the Talmud, not in the Bible, not in the Sumerian tablets, not in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, not in the Mahabharata, not in the Bhagavad Gita, not in the Indian Vedas, not in the Epic of Atrahasis, not in the Epic of Gilgamesh. I can go on and on and on. Not in the Code of Hammurabi, not in the Myth of Adapa. I can keep going. Guess what, guys? I'm one of the foremost world leader in the knowledge on ancient texts and tablets, scriptures, papyrus, and cylinder scrolls. And guess what? In all the ones I've gone through, over thousands over the years, not one of them is speaking about the creator of the universe, which is real. I acknowledge that. Matter of fact, so did the Anunnaki. They claimed to know that they were going to get in trouble for what they did on this planet by the creator of all, which tells you that they knew they weren't the creator of all, that there was somebody even above them. An entity, an energy, a life force of something above them that had a say-so, and they would have to find judgment one day. So they knew they weren't God, even though they
hidden by the polymaths. They were hidden by the philosophers. The moon is 2,160 miles as its diameter. Same number as the number of feet, 216, for the height of the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico. We multiply the diameter of the moon by 400 exactly, and we get the diameter of the sun. Do you know what the exact point inside of the sarcophagus is on planet Earth? If we were to measure it and look at it, it's degree measurement, latitude and longitude. The latitude for the exact center point of the sarcophagus in the King's Chamber is 29.9792.458 degrees. The speed of light is 299,792,458 meters per second. These things were hidden by the polymaths. Polymath is to be a philosopher. Remember, mathematics didn't mean study of math as number, study of quantity of science, right? It meant learning. So poly means many, math meant learning. Polymath is many learnings. That's all that is. So the doorway to become a philosopher was to be a many learner. And once you became a philosopher, then you got into esoteric and wisdom and mystery schools. So the Egyptian mystery schools is where all the polymaths, philosophers went. Mm-hmm. They all went there. In fact, you must go there. It is part of the process of initiation. So Leonardo da Vinci went there. Plato went there. Pythagoras spent 30 years there. They all go to the Egyptian mystery schools to learn in the land of Chem.
And Yeshua.
And Yeshua went there. Jesus and John the Baptist both broke into the pyramid. They both went there. They both studied at the mystery schools. Do you know there was a mystery school that had lived been in existence for almost 500 years that was closed down by Nazis when they occupied Egypt in 1944.
Celebrities using babies to stay young.
Of Oprah's favorites, she says it's a miracle fountain of youth and her magic wrinkle cure. So I'm going to put a little on your hand.
I'd do that. Oprah did.
Yeah, Oprah did it. All right, so here, we're going to rub it right in.
How come it's red?
I'll show you in a sec, Steve. So this is made from growth hormones of human
Look,
foreskin.
the wrinkles has just disappeared. I can't even ball my hand up.
But so it's made from human foreskin. I'm sorry, Steve.
Boyfriend have been in a good relationship for quite a moment now. A few years.
Yeah, for 7 years.
Now he's an early 30 and you're a late 50.
Yeah.
But somehow you both look the same age there. I mean, you know, there's something to be said for being with a younger man.
I suck baby's blood. And put it on my face.
Well, it's this way in which one forces through microneedling. It's like a little roller with these. Some of you, I think many of you know it. And it pushes through the skin and ruptures the collagen, and then boosts it. You look like a burn victim for a day, but then it pushes.
What are you pushing into the skin, Sarah?
Well, you push in whatever the facialist would like to insert into your pores.
But what is it?
It is an extraction from a piece of skin that came from a young person. Far, far away, and they somehow figured out how to extract.
It's foreskin from a Korean baby.
I leave the plasma on my skin for a day and then wash it off the next day. It gives me the most amazing smooth glow. I'm going to continue to do this forever. It's my preferred anti-aging method.